played in these night games did not make my top 10. However, one did, and one is leading off the list. Very controversially, number 10 is going to be San Francisco this week. I have San Francisco in the number 10 spot. Number 9, Minnesota. I'm number 8, the Baltimore Ravens. Number 7, the Green Bay Packers. Number 6, dropping just slightly, the LA Chargers. Number 5, the Philadelphia Eagles enter the top 5. Number 4, the LA Rams. At number 4, number 3, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Number 2, the Kansas City Chiefs. And number 1, still our friends down the QEW, the Buffalo Bills, still sitting at the number 1 spot.
Wow. So the Dolphins beat the number 1 team, but don't make your top 10.
No.
Explain yourself, Bobby, because Finn's Nation down there not going to be happy with that one.
I will say I'm very impressed with Jalen Waddle and the Tyreek Hill. Those two seem like they're open all day. They have just torn up the field. But if you look at the metrics of that game, Buffalo was the better team, and not even by a little bit, by quite a bit. They outplayed Miami. They were missing a bunch of guys, and not to mention the one thing that nobody talks about, Miami has one of the best September home fields because of the humidity in Miami. I don't know if a lot of people noticed, but there were guys dropping left, right, and center because of cramping, because of the humidity. So it 3-0, good for Miami, but I believe they started 3-0 a few years ago, and they finished 7-9. So sometimes the record can be a little bit misleading.
So I want to make sure I'm clear here. There are 3 undefeated teams left in the NFL. One of them is in your top 10. Did I get that right?
I believe so. Yes.
Interesting. That's why he's the best, folks. That's why he's the best.
When I did this, I said I was so sick of going on to these power rankings, and it was just basically the standings. I don't care about the standings. I'm telling you who the 10 best teams are. I have Green Bay ahead of Minnesota, but I still think Minnesota is going to win the NFC North. Sometimes it's schedule, sometimes it's just other things. So, who was the third? Was it the Giants? Is the Giants that we're missing?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the Giants.
I wouldn't put them in either. I'm just saying they're 3 undefeated.
Well, the Giants are not 3-0 yet. They're trying to get to 3-0.
Trying, yes.
Yes. I think the Chargers. I think a lot of people saw that Jacksonville win and are going to freak out. That was a tough situation for the Chargers too. But I did drop them because I just remembered. I don't know why I didn't realize this, but they are the Los Angeles Chargers, and they find ways to screw things up all the time. I don't know why I gave them so much respect. It doesn't matter if they're good, bad. Their coach is terrible. Brandon Staley does not work. But as a Bronco fan, I've seen this team fail time and time again, no matter what. So I dropped them to 6, not because of that game, because they are the Chargers.
I would cut him some slack. I mean, Justin Herbert was questionable all week, and then last minute he decided to play, and he wasn't that great. So maybe he shouldn't have played. My biggest things, I think you have the Eagles too low. I actually think they're right now the best team in the NFC. I would put them ahead of the Buccaneers, to be honest. And I'm glad you didn't move the Bills down, because like you said, if you played that exact game 10 times, the Dolphins probably win the one time like they did yesterday, and the Bills win 9 of them. I mean, you mentioned like the run of play, like the Bills had 90 offensive plays and the Dolphins had 39. The time of possession was 40. Bills had 40-40 compared to 19-20 for the Dolphins. And that's not to mention all the injuries that the Bills had. Tre'Davious White didn't play. Jordan Poyer didn't play. They had a bunch of guys in their O-line who did not play, including their center and backup center. They had a slew of injuries during the game that they had to deal with. And then, like you mentioned, the heat and humidity, not great. And then Milano, I believe his name is, dropped a pick 6 close to the end of that game. It was like right in his hands. That would have sealed the deal for the Bills, I think, right there. But you know what? Hats off to the Dolphins, because they beat a really solid football team. That's why I think they deserve the spot in the top 10, but I'm glad you didn't move the Bills out of the top 10 for that one. I still think they're a much better team, and I'm still picking them to go to the Super Bowl this year.
So if you guys were to do a power rankings, let's say this was the Joe Chaffee and Frankie DG, Coach Frank episode or segment, would you have Miami at number 10? Did I have San Francisco too high, maybe putting them in the top 10?
After what I saw last night against Denver, Jimmy G ain't it either, guys. I'm sorry.
Let's cut Jimmy G some slack though. Like he just started getting starter reps like this week. He wasn't even going to be on the football team like a couple weeks ago. They were going to cut him or send him to another team. Like I think he needs a little bit of time just to get himself reacclimated. But yeah, he wasn't great. Neither was the whole offense.
If you're asking if they're a better, like Rob, where did you have Minnesota?
Number 9.
Yeah, for me, Miami's a better team than Minnesota. That's without me. That's without doubt.
I would put them ahead of both of those teams. So I'd probably put them at 9.
Yeah, fair enough. That's fair.
Wow.
Yeah.
We're gonna see this because I'm tend to be a little bit later to react to these kind of things.
Yes, you are.
I
That's why you're the best.
I gotta agree with Frank though. Jimmy G's not like I've seen him fail too many times. He's Matt Ryan just with a little bit more mobility. The guy he couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. Now, these guys here, their defense, that's a legitimate defense.
It is.
And like those are two, maybe I could argue 2 of the 3 or 4 best Ds in the league. So which would explain the 11-10 score, but he just misses too many throws. He's just so inaccurate, and I don't know where he got this moniker of like a really good QB. I don't know why I had them that high, but
I'll tell you where he got it from.
Legitimate.
Because he was the heir apparent to Tom Brady when he was with the Patriots.
Yes.
So ever since then, he's got this extra, I don't even know what the word is, this aura behind him that people think he's a really good quarterback. I think he's decent. I think he's a middle of the pack quarterback. He can get you to a Super Bowl. He pretty much showed you that.